Odds were in my favor. I had 'em 5-1. And that leg to win came around the track. Sure enough, we had won.
Going into the Shelley's Wild race, you know, he had previously been running long on the grass. They dropped him down to 25 on his last start, and he ran a good race, but it's not quite good enough to win. They stepped him back up, made special weights, on the poly track, going 7/8. So I really wasn't expecting a whole lot for him, you know, breaking from the outside. Now he's sprinting, going a different distance on a different surface, and stepping up in class. As I left the gate on Shelley's Wild, I didn't expect him to break so sharply. He had been coming off of route races on the grass where he had set off the pace there. He felt comfortable laying in the spot that he was, so I let him just sit right off the pace. You know, as we started around the turn, you know, it looked like that Miguel was going to have plenty of horse left when we turned for home. So, you know, I kind of wanted to stay close enough to him to make sure that he didn't get away from me to where I couldn't run him down late. Now, as we started turning for home, I started asking my horse to run, and you know, when I did, I knew that I had lots of horse, but I wanted to keep after him because he tends to get a little lazy every now and then. So, you know, the more I kept, you know, the more I got into him, the more I asked him to run, the more he gave me. You know, he kept running strong. You know, it was a good surprise. Didn't expect him to jump up and run this good, and he ended up getting to the wire in front. You know, it was a total surprise, but you know, it turned out great. You know, he ran a great race, finished strong, and you know, it's always a surprise when, you know, the unexpected happens. So going into the Free Fighter race, I didn't expect the pace to be as slow as it ended up being. You know, Exchanging Kisses, he always goes out there. He's a one-dimensional horse, and there was other horses that could have went with him early, and you know, they chose not to. When I seen that happening, you know, I went up there to try to maybe force somebody else to push Exchanging Kisses on, so he wasn't able to, so say, walk the dog on the lead. That's why I let my horse out a little bit, because nobody wanted to go with him. So, you know, I was forced to try to keep him within striking distance, and hopefully I would be able to run him down. You know, but I also didn't want to take my horse out of his running style, out of his game. You never know how a race is going to set up until the gates open. You never know what the other riders, the instructions they're going to get. You don't know. So sometimes, lots of times, you think a race is going to set up one way, and it sets up the opposite. You know, so I did all I could do to try to keep my horse in contention and not take him out of his game and still give him the best chance to win. The Somewhere in Time race, wasn't expecting a whole lot. You know, the horse had really never run a good race, you know, before. Ricky told me in the paddock, he's like, this horse is going to run good today. Don't be surprised. When I left the gate on Somewhere in Time, you know, I didn't expect him to break so sharply and lay so close. I thought he was going to be coming from last, like, you know, he has in all of his previous starts. You know, but he broke sharp, so I just, you know, left him. He was tugging me along pretty good, so, you know, I just tried to get him to relax and tucked him in behind a couple of horses to try to get him to come off the bit a little bit and relax so I'd have plenty of horse to finish. As we were going down the backside, you know, I seen Chris. You know, I wasn't quite sure whether, you know, he was gonna, you know, drift out a little bit more. You know, I could see that he was staying off the fence, so, you know, to stay outside of the leaders. But, you know, as we started into the turn, he kind of drifted out a little bit more. So I wasn't quite sure. Maybe I was going to be able to, you know, get through between the 6 and the 11. But, You know, horses kind of run up on the outside, and Chris just kind of stayed where he was at. So, you know, I had to sit there and wait, try to find a spot to go when we turned for home. You know, I had Frenchie down on the inside. You know, I thought that he was going to back out of there and I was going to be able to get through on the fence, but you know, he had enough force to stay in there, and the hole closed up on the fence in a hurry. So. Had to kind of take up a little bit and go outside of those other horses. And when I dropped my horse's head, you know, he ran on, and you know, it finished really strong. You know, I was able to get through another tight spot, and he never quit and kept running all the way to the wire. So hopefully next time, you know, he ran a great race at a long shot today. Hopefully next time he'll run better. Oh, Hennessy, he was acting up pretty good. He's normally real good in the gates. You know, he was rearing up, striking at the doors. I mean, he was pretty bad. I can't really pinpoint any reason why he was that way. He was ready to leave. You know, he was standing all right, but when he left there, you know, he about went to his belly, and it took him a couple strides before he finally got his feet up underneath him. So, you know, from that point forward, my race was kind of out the window. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different things that go on in the gate. I mean, you never know. That's why you always got to be paying attention. You always got to be, what we say, you got to be tied on. So we loaded the gates for the 8th race. You know, I heard something, I looked over, the horse is breaking through the gate and the jock's flying off the back. He ducked under the gate, he seen an opening, he seen a hole in the ground, and you know, he was ready to get out of the gate. We always have an outrider behind the gates, and we always have an outrider in front of the gate. They tried to catch him right away. You know, they weren't able to catch him, the horse was gone. He ran all the way around the track, he went about 1 1/8, so that took way too much out of him for him to be able to run. He ran way too long, so they had to scratch him. Hatman, he's always been a rank horse. He's always been bad. He's bad in the paddock, he's bad in the gate. You know, he's just a bad horse. Runs good, he's got talent, but you know, he acts up a lot. In the gate, he ends up throwing his head around a couple times. You know, it was right as Blue was pressing the button for the horses to break. He jerks his head away from the assistant starter, throws it up over the bars into the horse's other stall as the gates opened. Now, a horse can't leave that way, you know, so he wasn't able to break cleanly at all. His head was hung up in the other stall, so that's why he was considered a non-starter. The stewards, they'll declare a horse a non-starter when something happens in a race that eliminates a horse's all chances of running in the race to finish well, to, you know, possibly win the race. And that's what happened to Hatman. By him throwing his head on the other side of the gate, where he wasn't able to leave the gates freely, it eliminated all his chances of running in the race. Every day when I walk into the jocks room, you never know exactly what's gonna happen. You know, going into it, you know, you just gotta be ready, be prepared. Lots of times, you're 87 to 1 shots, jump up, you know, run good, and you never know. You gotta, you know, expect the unexpected, because you never know exactly what's gonna happen. So you just gotta always make sure you're tied on.